I got this comment on my video about how dictators and fascism ruined the wine industry in the early 1900s. He says, "Why does Italy have the second best wines in the world? Probably from what? The fascism?" This man is a troll. But it's actually a good question. How did Italy go from fascism and being aligned with Germany in World War II to having some of the best wines in the world? Well, after World War II, Italy was really poor, especially the South. Half of the Italian households had no access to electricity. 40% were farmers compared to only 10% in the US, and the average income was $800 per year, which is only about $10,000 today. So let's talk about the Marshall Plan. After World War II, between 1948 and 1952, the US government injected $13.3 billion into the European economy in the form of grants and loans. It's about $180 billion in today's money, and Italy got $1.2 billion, which is about $16 billion today. What did the US get out of it? Well, the US government says the Marshall Plan provided markets for American goods, created reliable trading partners, and supported the development of stable democratic governments in Western Europe. Well, this worked, and by the 1960s, the Italian government was focused on producing a lot of cheap wine, mostly for export to the US. They actually made laws in most regions that required wineries to maximize the quantity of the wine they produced at the cost of the quality. This is where those bottles of Chianti wrapped in straw come from. It was actually cheaper to pay people to wrap the bottles in straw than to make thicker glass. At this point, there were very few high quality wineries in Italy. Most were stuck making super cheap bulk wine. In the US, after the war, the middle class was growing quickly, and Italian Americans, who were once just poor immigrants, began making some real money. With cash to spend, they wanted products from their homelands, like meats, cheeses, and of course, wine. Italian Americans began opening import businesses and even buying vineyards and wineries in Italy. By the 1990s, they were an economic force, and the demand for high quality Italian wines was growing rapidly, and the Italian wineries, well, they were happy to comply. They even created wines specifically for Italian Americans like Brunello di Montalcino. You can see this all unfold in the early 2000s TV show The Sopranos. They were always eating at fancy Italian restaurants and talking about the reputation of Italian Americans and shedding the stereotypes. It was a really big deal that they were finally wealthy in America. Well, in the 2000s, the Italian wine trend continued as Japan, China, Korea, and other Asian countries grew a taste for wine. They were following the cultural trends of the US from TV and movies, and they too wanted Italian wines. The more money that went back into the Italian wine industry, the more the wineries and the Italian government reinvested, and the quality of Italian wine continues to grow and grow to this day. It was Italian Americans that made Italy one of the best wine producing countries in the world. But this dude clearly doesn't think so. You can read about this and more in my book, Rebel School of Wine.